I really should write down a few more ideas of vlogs because I keep running out of them, and I come across days where I've not got any ideas, and then, well, I've pretty much used all my ideas now. The only one I've got left, which I will talk about today, is about it's about something. I should really have this bookmarked. It's about primary school work ex. That's all I've written. Well, why is this page loose? Here in the UK, when you're doing your GCSEs, around year 10, year 11, so essentially the 4th and 5th year of high school, you are expected to do some work experience. I think you have to do 2 weeks. Well, it was when I was in school, 2 weeks of work experience somewhere. And it's a requirement, so you've either got to go out and find your own work experience somewhere local that you can get to easily, or you'll be given some work experience from the school. And I know someone who was given work experience. They ended up working at Oxfam, and they didn't like it very much at all. I don't really know why, because Oxfam was great when I volunteered there for 5 years. Anyway, work experience. I did my work experience at my old primary school, and it was quite interesting. I won't give you the whole gory details, thread to needle, that sort of thing, but I'll, talk about some of the highlights. So, I remember quite distinctly getting there, and I must have looked right scruff, because I had this big green coat. It wasn't the nice military coat that I have now. It was this very cheap green, sort of light khaki coloured raincoat, and I always used to wear it. And I had a little bag of some description. This was before the days that I that I had like a nice messenger bag. Or, gosh, I'm trying to think back now. I mean, it doesn't really matter what sort of bag I had, but I think I used my netbook bag. I had one of those to keep my netbook in, except I didn't bring my netbook, because what would be the point? No, I brought my DS, because of course I did. I was playing Bowser's Inside Story at the time. It was great. And I also brought, every day, we had to bring with us this little logbook sort of thing that was provided by the school. So it was things like, you had to keep a diary of what you did each day and what tasks you had to complete, signed off by whoever you were looked after by. In my case, it was by one of the assistant teachers who would run around and do sort of admin stuff, get things ready, all that sort of thing. And I'm sure there was another thing. Maybe I just brought like an exercise book with me to write stuff down. And I remember being shown to my classroom, and it was one of my old teachers, predictably enough, and they didn't have a chair big enough for me. And I don't think I quite realised, because I was assigned to a year 3 class, and the chairs, I never really realised that the chairs are so tiny. I was again, I must have looked like such a scruff, because my legs were just sprawled out on the floor effectively. This chair was so tiny. I did my best at sitting in this chair, but I had to slouch. And I soon discovered that year 3 is possibly the best year group to teach, because they're old enough to kind of know what they're doing and have some autonomy, but young enough not to be utter know-it-alls like, year 6s are. So it's a good sweet spot, I feel. And the kids were all extremely pleasant. It was a joy to not teach them, because, well, hell, what am I going to do? I'm not a teacher. I'm in year 10. I'm being taught. One kid asked me how to, how to, take one number away from another, and I just could not explain it for the life of me. And the trouble is, unless you know what those kids are, how they've been educated in things like very basic maths, like number lines and stuff, you don't know what to tell them because you don't like. Do you know what a number line is? Can you do that? That's a very simple way of doing it. Anyway, there's things like that. Not many things. I was asked to define the word grim. Again, I couldn't define it even now. Could you define grim? Because I flipping can't. So it's things like that. They sort of catch you out, and you have to be prepared for them. If you're a teacher. What else? I got a bit of a reputation because I'd go off every 10 minutes and get a cup of tea. The thing was, you know, my attention span at that time was not the best. And it still isn't, but it's better than it used to be. But the thing is, I couldn't really sit in a room for hours on end, not really doing anything, just observing, because I couldn't. I couldn't. That was not a skill that I possessed at that time, so I'd just trip off all the time and get a cup of tea. Must have gone through like 5 or 6 cuppers in a day. Got told off for it, because the reason was, well, I ended up having to stand at the back of the classroom because the chairs were too small, and I just had my cuppa and I was drinking it, and I was told, look, don't get so many cups of tea, because if a kid bumps into you while you've got a cup of tea, yeah, that's not going to go down well. So that was that. Also got told off for doing a terrible job at cutting out a letter S. But I think, I did a reasonably good job overall. I actually distinctly remember one time I had to go get something from the hall. No, I had to go get something, and I had to go across the hall to do it. I went across multiple times to get multiple things. I think I had to go and scan some stuff or print some stuff. And there was some sort of training going on in the hall that I was not privy to, and I was asked not to go through the hall. The trouble is, the only other way around was to go outside, and I didn't know the code to get back into the building, so that wasn't really a starter. I didn't actually know that until I went outside, and I was like, oh dang. So that was fun. Yeah, that was. I'm not really sure what else I can add. There was one moment where I ended up getting chased by a load of kids in the playground. That was interesting. But really, that kind of describes the whole 2 weeks, if I'm honest. Unless, without going into minutiae, which I don't have time for. I will close out by saying that I was gifted for my service. I was gifted a very big, I think it was like an A4 card with some word art on the front, of course. And the kids have been doing this project of growing things from beans. So I was given a pot of beans to look after and grow. Anyway, that was my primary school work experience, and maybe some other time I'll tell you about my my print shop work experience, because that was fun as well. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Don't know what this is. This is a wave, honestly.